All right. Hey there. Has everyone met Mike? Mike is relatively new to the group. Say hi, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
All right. There you go. Donna, that's how I wear my mask sometimes too. It's okay. Not very good at it. All right. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Bill.
All right. What are we grateful for? Let's start the day off with some positive energy. What are we grateful for?
Well, I'm grateful for my husband is finally having knee replacement surgery this month. So I'm very grateful for that.
Awesome. Awesome. Is that a tough rehab?
I don't think so. It shouldn't be too long. So we're just looking forward to getting it over with. It's been a long wait.
All right. All right. Who else is grateful for something in particular?
I have something, Bill.
All right. Go ahead.
So I put my listing back on the market. So I had 8 showings yesterday, and I got 4 offers last night.
Wait. This is the one that you put back on the market. You had 8 showings and 4 more offers.
Yeah.
Well, if that's not evidence, you should be calling around that neighborhood and saying, "Look, I'm aware of at least 3 other buyers that want a property like yours." Right?
Exactly.
Would you be interested in selling at a price around this?
Be calling around.
If so, we need to talk. Now might be the perfect time. Great job.
So let me tell you. So I was getting phone calls left and right from agents, right? So I answered the phone, and somebody else like, "Oh, I want to show you a listing. I want to see your listing." I'm like, "Okay, you can book the showing time." And they were like, "Oh, well, I'm not with anyone." I said, "Oh, so you don't have a realtor?" They was like, "No, but I would like to see it. I found your information from realtor.com." And they said, "Well, we're in this big house with a basement and upstairs and everything, and we need somebody to sell our house too." And I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, maybe I can, come over tomorrow to meet my clients, and I can show you all the house, and maybe we can set some time aside for me to do a listing presentation to see how much your house would be worth." And they said, "Oh, we would love that." So I kind of got a potential listing.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
You see, that's what happens when you get listings, is you get telephone calls, and sometimes they don't have agents, and sometimes they own a home that needs to be sold also. So don't forget that is the most important thing you can focus on in your business, is getting seller listings. It's the easiest way to spend your time. It's the most leveraged side of the business, and it will create new opportunities for you as well. Okay, awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Markia. Who else? Anyone else? Anyone else? Okay, let's talk a little bit about, actually, let's do a tiny bit of housekeeping, and then we'll go right into our theme for today. Please don't forget that today we have let me take Aubrey's schedule off of this. Okay, today at Launch Mastermind at 11, so from 11 to 12, we're gonna be talking about contracts. I think a good place to start today, unless you guys overwhelmingly would like something different, is the buyer brokerage agreement and the listing agreement. Are those good to start with?
Yeah.
All right, beautiful. So we'll focus on those 2 today. There'll be plenty of time for all the other stuff. Don't worry. And by the way, there's videos of all that within our Google Drive. So if you're dying to learn something different, or you have a question, just reach out to us and we'll get it answered for you. So from 11 to 12 today, the Launch Mastermind is contracts. No matter where your production is, if you would like to hear more about that, please don't hesitate to come inside. We also, Friday, we have a full day of Gene Rivers career visioning. Is there anybody who is not going to that program as of this moment? Let's do it the other way. Everyone raise your hand if you are going to that program. Okay, I'm assuming everyone in black squares is going. If not, please check your newsletter and please RSVP as quickly as you can so you can get all the appropriate information. We also have Bold. So there was a link that was sent out yesterday for you to register for a Bold drawing. That drawing is going to take place Friday morning right before career visioning. And you'll get 15 people will get a free ticket to Bold. If you do not win, then you would be, of course, eligible for the reimbursement plan, which is you pay the $99 to enroll in Bold, which, by the way, is normally $800. And then if you pinned a transaction between October 20th and December 20th, then when it closes, you will get a $99 credit back, okay? So if you do what they tell you to do in Bold, I cannot imagine you not getting a transaction. So Bold will be free, okay? Any questions on any of that? Okay, I'm going to share my screen with you guys, and we'll jump right into some discussion about the GPS. Okay, now I don't think I did something, and I didn't mean to do something one way, and I want to try to clarify that. So the document that I sent out that is what I've been calling the fourth quarter GPS is actually, I probably should not have called that a GPS. I did arrange it like a GPS, but I think what I'm doing is I'm confusing you guys a little bit. So what it really is it is a strategic way of kind of taking it's like a gut check of your business, right? Listing presentation, buyer presentation, database growth, script and role play, accountability, outside of real estate success. These are just things that basically are the foundational pieces of your business. So all of what I'm going to discuss today is assuming that you've already got clarity on that and that all that stuff is already in place, okay? Some of that stuff will be mentioned in what I would call the business GPS, okay? The business GPS is where you would say, my one goal for the year is to sell, 15 homes. The three priorities that I'm going to use in order to attain that goal are, 1, 2, 3. And we're going to talk about what that structure might look like here in just one second. But that's essentially your business plan. The fourth quarter GPS, it's a bit of a stretch to call that a business plan. It's essentially just a reminder list of things that you need to be doing, right? Like you need to be, you need to be not just, quote, hosting open houses. You need to, host a certain amount of open houses on this day. And this is your pre-open house strategy. This is your post-open house strategy. This is what you do at the open house, right? It's a lot more detailed and strategic than that. Does everyone kind of understand the nuances of what I was just saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I wrote down the other day a list of all of the different ways that I have seen the GPS, the three priorities for the GPS. Generally, the one strategy is money or units, right? And that's why I use that for what we call the fourth quarter GPS. I will close X number of units so that I can achieve X goal, right? Or so that I could afford to buy X thing, right? Or invest in X thing. So the three priorities that we use are completely up to you, really. And the more and more I think about this, and I've spoken with Robin at length about this, is for most of us, let me just check who's in the room real fast. Yeah, I would say pretty much for pretty much everyone in the room right now, the best strategy in my mind is focusing on the three types of lead generation. Lead gen 1, lead gen 2, lead gen 3. Okay, at some point in the future, you will probably get to things that are what you would see more if you had a team, like leads, listings, leverage, right? Like systems, tools, people, right? Listing transactions, buyer transactions, customer care, right? Production, profit, people, right? what do you see here in common, or what you see here in common is a focus on listings. And it's also a awareness and eventually a focus on leverage. Does everyone catch that? Everyone hear what I'm saying? Okay, but for now, what we need to do is we need to focus on building the database and booking appointments, right? At some point later on, we'll focus about leverage, right? I don't think anyone on the phone right now is, or on the call right now is probably, that's not on their immediate, it's not an immediate need for your business, right? We got to finance that before we go and invest in help, okay? What I don't want you to hear, what I just said is that doesn't mean you can't go hire somebody to manage your social media or to do your book work or you do your contract to close and stuff. It just means you're not ready for like a full-time assistant basically, or like an operations manager. Okay. So what my recommendation is to choose the 3 lead generation strategies that you would like to focus on. And my recommendation is for you to go all in on those 3. Now, I was speaking to somebody the other day and they said, well, I don't like cold calling. I said, can I ask you a question about that? And they said, yeah. And I said, is it that you don't like cold calling because you've tried a bunch and you just didn't get you didn't have any passion for it, you didn't have any fun, or you just don't think you like cold calling because you've actually never tried it? And she said, well, it's actually because I've never tried it, right? So what we found is that it just takes 1 or 2 successes for people to say, oh my gosh, this could be a great method for me to build my business, right? Many of us that have decided that they're going to call strangers, people like Heather, like Rose, like Ashley, Markia, these people are having some success. We're booking appointments. We're adding people to our database, right? So it is a possibility, okay? So lead generation type 1, 2, and 3. And by the way, that's why I did put it on your fourth quarter GPS. Here, we're gonna go into a little bit more detail, okay? For example, on the fourth quarter GPS, we said that one of our lead generation strategies could be for sale by owners and expired. And we would say, one of the way that we determine that we're successful by employing that strategy is if we, let's say, book 1 appointment a week, okay? That's how we measure our success in that particular strategy. When we go into an idea like this, what did I do here? I don't know why I can't edit this, but pretend, let me create a new document really fast. So let's say we're doing open houses, okay? And we want to do 3 on weekends, or actually let's do this. Open houses, and strategy 1 would be 3 Sundays, 1 Thursday night, right? They're metrics based, right? And then we're going to develop a system for pre-open house. And that is going to be, the deadline on that would be, let's say, October 25th. So they have metrics and or deadlines, right? A pre-open house strategy, for example, would be, what day do you select the house that you're gonna hold open? What is the protocol for, like, do you do, how do you advertise it? Do you go on FMLS and advertise it, Zillow and advertise it? Do you do any type of social media ad campaign? Do you get a list of names and numbers from Cole to call around the open house to invite them in? Do you do like the open house from 2 to 4, but maybe from 1 to 2 have just neighbors? Do you go knock any doors earlier in the week or drop any flyers off, right? Do you, so those are some examples of what pre-open house strategy would be, right? Then you might say, develop a system for Open house day. Okay, deadline for that, let's say, could be October 26th. Now, open house day could be, well, at 9 o'clock in the morning, I go start knocking doors. I knock the 25 doors to the left of the house, the 25 doors to the right of the house, and the 50 homes across the street, right? And I go in there and I, in front of them, invite them to the open house, right? It could be, what does the house look like that day, right? Do you have balloons out? How many signs do you have out? Which means you have to buy the signs and order the signs so that they're there and you don't have to panic about, paying extra to have them made for the first open house or in a fast way or something like that, right? So what do you serve coffee, donuts, tea, muffins, whatever? Like, is there any food or dessert or snack or something like that there? What's the system for sanitation, right? How do we make sure that these people feel safe coming in? How do we make sure that we honor the request of the owner for people coming in, right? You would also include what happens while they're there, right? Do you greet them at the beginning? Do you have them sign up? Do you have them sign up at the end? Do you follow them around the home, right? There's a lot to think about here. We don't just, if you, this is a comment that I keep coming back to in my mind, and I'll stop sharing the screen for a second because it's that important. Okay, I was reading the book, I think it's in the Hold book. I have to go back and double check. The Hold book is this book right here. Okay, this is about how to find, buy, and rent houses for wealth. Okay, this is part of the Gary's Millionaire series, okay? And in there, they're talking about, they actually say this line with respect to property management, okay? When you're building an investment portfolio and you are managing the portfolio, but it's really applicable in a lot of different areas, particularly for you guys building your real estate business. If you treat it like a hobby, it will pay you like a hobby. I want that to sink in. I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings here, but if you treat it like a hobby, it will pay you like a hobby. Okay. If you kind of willy-nilly show up whenever you show up, if you kind of, wing everything, if you don't practice what to say or even, bother to look up what to say, if you don't have any set hours, you're not dedicating time to learn these kind of things, it's not going to pay you like you're a professional, and you're not going to get the impact and make the impact that you were striving to make, right? I know sometimes we say, oh, let's get into real estate so we don't have a set schedule, but that could be your worst enemy, right? If you're not showing up and you got like a organized workspace and you know what to do every day and you're dressed to work, you're going to treat it too casually. This is a tough business. What do you guys hear me saying?
You get out of this what you put into it. And if you half-ass it, then your results are going to reflect that half-assness.
By the way, that may be okay. Like if you have a desire to sell 2 or 3 homes a year, that you could probably afford to do that. And there's no judgment against that. But if you have a desire to like build this thing, like it's going to take some commitment. Donna, were you about to say something? And Christy, it looked like you were about to say something too.
I was just going to say, I mean, it's a job and you are your own boss and you need to hold yourself accountable. If you had an employee working for you, would what you're doing as your own employee be okay? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's like,
would you be happy with someone else doing what you're doing if you were the boss and they were the employee? You're your own boss.
And paying them, right? That's what I said. I've talked to a lot of you guys and said, on Sunday, I usually put aside like 20, 30 minutes, sometimes a little bit more. And I kind of look at my week, right? I looked at what I did this previous week. I look at what I'm up to in the following week. I kind of look at where I'm at in terms of my goals. Like, guys, my goals are public. I'll share this with you. We're going to get back to the 135 here in a second. Okay. I'll share my goals with you. I got no problem with that. I'm held to a pretty tight set of goals here. Can you guys see this? So I have my coaching call today. I'm expected to have 17 listing appointments in the group. Okay. As of right now, we have 8. I'm supposed to have 13. This is for the whole month. Listings taken. As of now, 4. I know exactly where I'm at. I'm in the 15th of the month, and I'm just about halfway to listing appointments, and I'm behind on listings taken. Right now, I know a lot of you guys haven't reported. However, it is what it is. That's my record right now, right? Internally, I'm supposed to do 10 appointments with agents that are going to join PC, hopefully. I'm actually already done that, okay? And I'm supposed to have 20. So I'm already at the month's goal for that. 20 external appointments, I'm at 8. I'm behind. Okay. Internal gross, I'm a hair behind. External gross, I haven't had any. And net, I'm at 2. That's also behind. So my point is, and I'm tracking who I'm chatting with, who I'm not chatting with, I want you guys to understand that I'm being held accountable to my activities as well. I mean, that would be craziness if I wasn't willing to share that stuff with you. You see what I'm saying? So believe me, if I don't treat it seriously, I'm not going to be sitting in the seat. Okay, let's go back to this really fast. So,
hey, Bill,
open
I was
house.
just going to say too, you asked.
Yeah, Chrissy, go
Bill?
ahead. Yeah.
Hey, I was just going to say, to add to, you asked us, what did we hear you saying? And like what you said resonated, just because I feel like it's consistent effort yields consistent results. So how consistent you are and how hard you go is going to show up later in your results.
You're right, 100%. Now, keep in mind, like, this is not like the sales cycle is not just a couple of days, right? So you're going to put in consistent results quite a bit up front. Many of you guys have been doing that for a long time, and you're just starting to see the results. So, don't get discouraged if you put in like an amazing work day and you're real diligent, real focused, and you do all the right things and you don't book an appointment. It's okay, right? It's going to take some time to materialize. But Chrissy, you're exactly right. Gary says this business is about time on task over time, right? And it's time on the most important things, right? If you're fiddling around with some website that no one knows even exists, you're not going to book any appointments from that. You got to get out into the marketplace and have conversations with people. Okay, so so another strategy right here could be develop a I can't type today, system for post open house day. Deadline for that could be October 28th, let's say. Post open house would be when you're shutting down the open house, you grab your cell phone, you say, hey, Chrissy, it was such a pleasure meeting you and your husband today. You've got the cutest little daughter ever. I'm so excited for the opportunity to answer any questions that you may have about this house or the market in general or any other houses. As I promised, I'll send you a 3-way email with my mortgage professional or with my preferred mortgage professional tonight. See you soon, right? Because remember, if they went to your open house, they more than likely went to somebody else's too. And now you're potentially competing with that other agent, right? So if you're the one that's like, oh, well, I guess midweek, I don't want to bother them so much. I'll write a card to them that they'll get next week. By that time, all the other agents have talked to them and you're in last place, right? So you got to do something unique and fast to separate you from the next guy. So what does that system look like? Do they go on a smart plan? Do they get a video text? Do you friend them on Facebook? Like, what's your plan? Okay. I'm trying to think of what another one could be. You might say, I'll buy all my supplies by October 20th, something like that, right? So now you have a system for pre, at, and post. You know when you're doing it, and you got all the supplies. So there's a real good chance that you're going to rock open houses, right? So now let's say we're going to do cold calls. Okay. Again, you don't have to do all this stuff, but cold calls. So I'm going to study scripts for 30 minutes per day, Monday to Friday, with a partner who is blank, right? Secondly, I might say I'm going to learn the data or learn the platform on Vulkan 7 and study best practices by October 31st, right? Here you might say, begin calling at 9 a.m. daily with goal of, one appointment a day. Next could be develop tracking system and smart plan for all prospects by November 1st, something like that, right? So do you guys see where I'm going with this? I'm basically, it's not just cold calls, right? It's setting a goal with how do we measure whether we're being successful, and what tools or supplies or systems do we need to create in order to rock this adventure, right? So another tool could be, another way that you could generate leads is sphere of influence. Okay, by the way, if you want to shout something out, feel free. So this could be add all contacts to command with smart plans. Okay, that could be by November 15th. Okay, this could be your social media strategy, right? Spell check got me. Strategy could be, I'm going to go in and make sure I'm friends with everyone that's, my kids' parents, my neighbors, my old colleagues, my current colleagues, my everyone that I meet at open houses. I'm going to go back through LinkedIn and find what they call, what does Adam Grant call that? Calls it like dormant something. You guys ever read this book right here? It's called Give and Take. Has anyone read that book? Right here. Give and Take. This is a phenomenal book if you have not read this, okay? It's written by Adam Grant, who is a psychologist from the Wharton Business School, and he's the youngest ever tenured professor at the Wharton School of Business. And it's just an incredible book. And he talks about the difference between givers and takers and kind of the middle ground and how it all kind of goes together in a business relationship. So I'm going to ask you guys, are you getting smarter every day, right? Are you reading? Are you learning, right? So if we go back to this, my GPS has things this is the one I generally use the most when I was doing it, was appointments. And that's where I'd say, how do I plan to get appointments? Okay, I'm going to get a certain amount through cold calling. I'm going to get a certain amount through open houses. I'm going to get a certain amount through working social media. Database growth. What is my plan to grow the database every day? Right? I'm going to do some open houses. I kept getting a little bit of blur between appointment setting and database growth. A lot of the activities were similar. So I just have like 10 ways that I grow the database and book appointments, basically. And then personal development, right? Was I exercising every day? Was I eating right? Was I reading? Was I listening to podcasts? Was I in some form of coaching? Was I going to the conventions and these kind of things so that I could expand my sphere, my network, right? Was I getting into the right room, so to speak? you know what they say, if you're the smartest person in the room, you got the wrong room, right? So there's several times in my life I've looked around and I've said, I think I might be the smartest person in this room. And I'm like, peace out, y'all. Right? And then I go to a different room. And I mean, does that resonate with you guys? You know, what rooms are you finding yourself in? Mike, did you want to say something?
No.
Okay, sorry, I saw your square light up. Okay, does anyone have any questions on kind of the approach to the business GPS? Okay, so the way that you know whether your GPS is solid is primarily with two things, okay? And technically it's three things, but for everyone here, it's really gonna be two. The three things are, is there a metric tied to it, right? Is there a number tied to, I'm gonna do open houses, or I'm gonna make cold calls, or I'm going to add people to my database? Those are way too vague. You need to be much more clear on are you winning, yes or no? The only way you know if you're winning is if you have a number and you hit the number, right? That's like saying, I need to lose weight. So if you tell your brain you need to lose weight, if you tell your brain you need to lose weight and you lose a pound, your brain actually thinks you did what you wanted to do. But nobody has a goal to lose 1 pound. That'd be ridiculous, right? So you need to be specific. The other thing is you need to be time oriented, right? You need a deadline. If it's a project, put a deadline on it, and then make sure that your calendar allows that activity to occur so that you don't, make promises to yourself that you can't keep, because that's not healthy for your brain either. Okay. And ultimately the third topic is really who's going to do this, right? For pretty much all of you guys, I believe the answer to that question is you, right? When I was on the brink of hiring my first assistant, I essentially made a GPS for them, which basically consisted of the list of things that have been on my list, just not on the top of my list for years, right? Things like build a pre-listing package. I never had time to do that. I was too damn busy. You see what I'm saying? Now that's limited thinking, and I suppose I could have slept less, but I was also trying to maintain the quality of life I was maintaining. And I kept hitting the wall, and I realized that the only way that was going to happen is if I got help, right? So I basically had to write a GPS for somebody that didn't even exist to prove to myself that I needed it. Does that make sense? Christy, was this the page you wanted to look at or the other one? This one?
It was the other one.
This one, okay,
Yep.
Got it.
Yeah.
So another sphere of influence, why does it keep doing that? Does anyone know what setting I've got wrong on this that it keeps asking me to edit? Oh, there we go, okay. A third one could be, do I do any kind of client events, right? So select, event by, December 1. Right, that could be like a virtual event. It could be an in-person event. I saw the other day on Facebook, you can rent out AMC Theater, the whole theater, for $99 now. Yeah, ready? I'll be right there. Are you interested in doing any kind of events? If so, what are they going to be? When are they going to be? Right. This could also be your 36 touch plan. So in place by December 31st, right? That's going to include your smart plans. That's going to include maybe a newsletter. That's going to include client events. That's going to include quarterly calls or quarterly texts or home anniversary calls or happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, Happy Valentine's, Happy July 4th. Like what are you doing? By the way, I tended to always do kind of the off holidays. So like everyone was sending Christmas cards, so I sent Thanksgiving cards, right? everyone's going to send July 4th cards, so I might send Memorial Day cards, right? It was just something that was like, you know, something a little unique. If you've ever done this before, how do I look? It's Sam and I did this one time together. It's daily holidays. Is that holiday insights? Okay, so today.
The national wine days and like taco days and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's like all that random stuff. So today is what, the 15th of October? It's White Cane Safety Day. What the hell is that? It celebrates and recognizes the achievements of the blind and visually impaired and their independence, right? You're probably not going to send out a card for that, but I don't know, maybe if you got somebody blind in your database, they'd really appreciate a call. Tomorrow is Boss's Day. Ooh. I'll have to get my wife something, right? October 17th, National Pasta Day. These could be something that you post on Facebook. Hey, what's your favorite pasta? This is mine. Here's a recipe for it. You're just trying to get some interaction. See what I'm saying? So do you have a strategy around that? By the way, October 18th is National Meatloaf Appreciation Day. You probably don't need me to share my screen for this. Okay, any questions? Ooh, here's a good one, y'all. October 19th is Evaluate Your Life Day. Evaluate your life day. All right. Share your screen once more. For this?
No, the other one. Go back to the your open house.
All right. This one. That one.
Yep.
All right. I'll post this in the help group so that you guys can see it forever. Okay. All right. If you're not registered for what do you call it, for career visioning, please do so. Please update your numbers so that my coach doesn't kill me. If you would like to create a GPS, which I strongly recommend you do, and you want to send me your first draft of that, please do so. And I'll give you some feedback and I'll give you some suggestions and ideas. And these are the things that the next step, by the way, is to turn that document into a 411, which we'll talk about tomorrow. And the next step after that is to make sure that all that stuff finds its home onto your calendar, right? So if you need an appointment a week, like, do you have enough time in your calendar to do all the prospecting necessary to get that appointment? And then do you have the slot in your calendar to hold the appointment? Does that make sense?
Yes. Hi, how are you this morning?
All right, you guys, have an awesome day.
Phil, I have a question.
Yeah, absolutely.
If when we're like farming our circle process prospecting, if they have a phone number that has do not call on it, but then there's an email, does that apply to the email too, or are we free to email them?
I would email them.
Okay.
I would email them.
There's such a thing as a do not email list, because I've never heard of that.
I've never heard of that either.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, don't honestly. Probably they're probably not going to respond to your email, but what the hell? I think it's worth it.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone have what they need here. All right, got lots of coaching calls today, so looking forward to all those, and I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye bye.